I don't think the future is about AI doing the work for us. I think the future is about creating a meaningful collaboration, both with the emerging technologies, but also between the generations. And I think when this collaboration happens, that's, when very powerful approaches can be made. My vision for evaluation is one where it moves beyond the traditional spheres of the industry to become better integrated into the systems of which it's part of. So instead of evaluation being a specialized function, I foresee it as becoming more adaptive and integrated into the systems that it's a part of. So in order to do this, I think there are three trends that we need to consider. Firstly, I think that there is incredible innovation happening that would have already been impossible to think about even just 5 years ago. So I'm talking about AI, GIS mapping, and even other technological innovations that have emerged with the pandemic and continue to be used today. Secondly, there's a real shift towards user-centered design and evaluation, keeping the end users and evaluation consumers at the forefront of the industry. The third trend I see is the shift from evaluation as the knowledge producer and the specialist towards evaluation as being part and parcel of the system that it's made up of. Organizations are starting to build in evaluation loops into their daily system, and I think this is actually a really exciting development in the industry overall. So I think we're living in an era of polycrisis right now. Climate change has intersected with health emergencies and overlapping with economic instabilities. So these complex interconnected issues means that fundamentally evaluation needs to become more adaptive. In order to become more adaptive, I think that there needs to be a general shift towards fostering more of a real-time evaluation culture. We need evaluation systems that can not just respond to polycrises, but be able to better absorb the shocks that are constantly coming. Traditional evaluation cycles that normally take months or years, I'm not so sure that in the future those will quite make the cut. But here's what I think is crucial. More than just being adaptive, we need an evaluation profession that remembers that evaluations are at their core about people. So in essence, no matter how sophisticated our methods are and will undoubtedly become in the future, I think we always need to not just integrate better into systems, but be mindful of who we are serving at the end of the day. When evaluation becomes part of how organizations naturally learn and adapt, I think that this is when actual real positive change can happen. So undoubtedly, AI is here to stay. We need to learn how to leverage this technology for the evaluation community. So I think there's an incredible opportunity to streamline this technology into the evaluation work, especially given the issues that have been affecting the sector over the past year, such as funding cuts and resources that are getting increasingly stretched thin. But here's what I'm seeing from a youth perspective. I think that there is an increasingly generational shift happening in how we approach these new technologies. Many senior evaluators aren't actually interacting with AI, whereas young people are brought in to be the technological experts from the get-go. And this can create a problem because young people don't necessarily have the methodological rigor to know when AI could be integrated effectively and ethically. So when we combine the technological fluency of young people together with the methodological skill set of the older generation, I think that there's a real potential for impactful change that can happen there. But beyond these powerful approaches, I think there is a risk that in this context of increasingly stretched resources, there will be a tendency by some actors to try and cut corners. And that could mean, hiring younger, more tech-savvy practitioners instead of more senior person. But that could also go the other way, that, a young person with the technological skill set who may not have the methodological rigor is overlooked in favor of someone who an organization knows will deliver exactly what they want. Finally, I don't think the future is about AI doing the work for us. I think the future is about creating a meaningful collaboration, both with the emerging technologies, but also between the generations. And I think when this collaboration happens, that's, when very powerful approaches can be made. I think we have to be very intentional about how we prepare the next generation. The skills gap I mentioned earlier means that we actually have to be very intentional about how we prepare the next generation and how we are actually bridging knowledge across the generation. Yes, technological literacy is essential for young evaluators, but I don't think it's enough on its own. We actually need deep methodological understanding together with technological literacy. We really need both of these skill sets working together, especially as I already mentioned, there's increasingly tight timelines and restricted budgets. I think the role of the modern evaluator will increasingly move away from real technical evaluation to that of a facilitator for both organizations and systems. To be able to make this shift happen, we will need several new competencies. To foster this evaluative thinking culture, I think there will be an increasing need for facilitation skills rather than pure evaluative skills. So that will require cultural competency, facilitation, learning, and the ability to work with partners rather than just provide a service. But on the other hand, young evaluators also need to understand the theory and methodology of evaluation deeply enough to know how new technologies and new systems can be integrated in a way that makes sense and when it should actually just be left to the side. I think the solution for this is to create meaningful intergenerational collaboration. In essence, I think we need mentorship programs that allow young evaluators to learn from more seasoned specialists, but I think we also need these mentorships to go the other way. I think there's a lot that young evaluators can offer to more senior members that maybe they haven't considered. Most importantly, we need to prepare both generations to think of evaluation as capacity building. Whether you're 25 or 55, I think the future evaluator's job is not just to produce report, but to leave systems better and more adaptive than when they entered. And I think this will require both innovation and wisdom and the ability to work together, not just as an evaluation community, but also with the wider evaluation ecosystem.